This is Upping Your Game, the podcast where experts share the strategies to help you, your team, or your organization thrive in today's fast-paced and ever-changing world. I am Stephen Krempl, and I'm your host. Today, joining us is Michael Fleming, a visionary entrepreneur and CEO of Compass AIM Global Management. Michael has made a significant impact across industries, from securing his first patent at 18 years to consulting leaders worldwide. His tech company, Compass AIM Solutions, offers innovative products like the Mydaywheel, Vision Quest software, dynamic org charts, National Care Alliance Network, and the Love Contract. Michael's passion has improved lives through the business and technology as it truly shines through. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, Stephen. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. Hey,
yes,
Michael, I have a question for you, though. So tell me, what is this Mydaywheel thing that you want to share with us, though?
You know what it is, Stephen? The world never stops turning. So everyone needs a Mydaywheel. And actually, the Mydaywheel has multiple uses, right? It for individuals, it has one particular use, but for the public as a whole, it has an entire different use. But for corporations and enterprise, at the enterprise solutions level, it has an absolutely fabulous use there. And what's unique about this Mydaywheel is that there are 86,400 seconds in a day. And so most people don't think about all those little details that impact all the decisions that we make every single day in both business and life, right? So what if we had a tool that every single person on this planet could use to capture their story? That's just by itself on the individual, but for corporations, that it can capture every detail of your operations and the functions of your business. And then as we add AI to it, it's going to help you evaluate all those functions within every single employee. And then it also can be used on every digital and electronic device in the Internet of Things. So we're going to gladly show you that. But what the Mydaywheel is, as far as the display of it, and it's actually right here behind me. It's yes, sir. It's a very unique way of looking at the day. Most people think of the day like a watch, like a typical watch. You know, you have the 12-hour dial, but it has a built-in inaccuracy, right? There's actually 24 hours in a day, and so all 1,440 minutes in a day. Yes, sir.
So you said it's 86,400 seconds in a day, right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So what makes Mydaywheel so interesting in capturing these 86,400 seconds in a day, though? So what is it going to help me, the individual, the corporation, as you correctly laid it out? What would it do for us, though?
The best way I can explain it is use, right? So imagine you're a 24-hour hospital and you got patients 24 hours a day. And so to be able to, I call it managed by vision, or literally operations by vision. So what it does is it visualizes the functions that are happening all day long. So I'm trying to show this as an example when I get a chance to show you how it actually functions. But imagine you're a hospital and you've got 300 patients, and you're trying to actually have the most accurate information about the status of that patient all night long. And especially if it's someone that's there for days, or if it's a research department, or it's a project management, or if it's a construction project, a 24-hour construction project, or it's all the ships in the ocean going across the seas right now, right? Anything that where you have a 24-hour operations, the Mydaywheel allows you to see that in increments, its impact. So I'm gonna use the patient again. So if you got a patient that wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning in discomfort or some pain, so and then you eventually get them through that process, say a couple of hours later, and they go back to sleep. Well, the next staff that comes in, they'll be able to look at that Mydaywheel and instantly see the status of that patient without them reading a bunch of documents. So it increases productivity, it increases efficiency, it increases communication. But at the same time, that's the display of it. But on the back end, with what we're getting ready to add with some of the AI tools and different things, it would evaluate the status of that patient or the status of the staff at the same time, and then allow you to see what was the best way to maybe help that patient throughout the night.
Wow. So you're saying that let's use your hospital as an example, right? So you come in, I'm the nurse on the first shift, you're the second shift. So you come in, you know what's happening with the patient, as opposed to trying to imagine what happened to the patient.
Exactly.
The Mydaywheel kind of shows it all. That's what you say?
Yes, sir. And so, in exactly what I'm saying. So the whole idea is, and obviously there's a plethora of tools and things that are out there, but the display feature of the day wheel is really what makes it different.
So
But to be, yes, sir. Mhm.
no. So here's the interesting part, right? So why would people feel that they must have your product out? So I'm sure there's some other products that claim to have a similar kind of feel to what you're doing, right? So what's the makes the Daewoo so special though?
Yeah, so it's a display more than anything else. And see, for individuals on the other side, and I personally, I love doing my day wheel, right? So my on a personal level for me, and that's what some of the things you're seeing behind me is because it chronicles my life. I'm a journaler. I love to journal, so that kind of thing. So the day wheel gives me that visual journal of my life. So for the 8 billion people in this world, and this is an important component of what we're headed to with the business model, right? Every single person on this planet is living a day wheel. So the process of being able now you do have to for now you have to put some of the content in. We're making adjustments so that we're trying to make it less and less that people have to actually type anything in. But there's 8 billion stories every second in this world. And think about it. Even if there's going to be a lot of people that's like, I don't want to write all that down. But there's definitely going to be a lot of people that's like, hey, this captures my story. This is my legacy. This is the what I give to the world and what I give to society. And so that by itself has its own value. But because of what people need it for on work. So for me, I've been a consultant for the last 30 years. And so I've worked on clients' projects 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had a client once, and he was like, Mike, send me a bill for all the time you worked on the
Yeah,
project. And I was literally able to show him when I worked on, after midnight and all these different things that was going on. He loved it. He was like, man, I had no idea. I was like, I know. I said, as long as I showed up with what he wanted, he was happy
yeah.
with that. So it's a
All
work-life
right.
balance too, for sure.
Okay, so perfect. So I like that. So you're showing your client. So could you show us and my viewers on how this day wheel works? Because I know you're
Absolutely.
talking about it here, Michael, but you gotta
Absolutely.
show us something, otherwise it's
Absolutely.
not gonna be any value, right? So
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me load it all up and
okay,
I'll
great.
gladly show you. Yeah, and
So,
it's
ladies
great.
and yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Michael's trying to load this up, 86,400 seconds.
Yes, sir.
You kind of have a picture of what you're doing day by day, whether you're in construction, whether you're in healthcare, whatever you're doing, whether you're in manufacturing. The day wheel gives you kind of a picture of what you're doing. So, kind of navigate this for us, though, Michael.
Sir. I'm sharing my screen directly from my personal cell phone. So watch this. We're going to come in to the system here.
Okay.
And there's a slight lag, but I'll describe some of the features as it comes into play. So as you see here on the day wheel, I want to make sure it's large enough here, is that right there, this is what makes it unique. Again, a typical watch is a 12-hour dial, just from 12 to
Yep.
12. I mean, so 12, 1, 2, 3, back around. But this is the way a day should actually look. So there's a ton of great things that I'm gonna say about this, just to display by itself and the benefits of that. So 12 a.m., 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. So this makes up the morning portion of your day. And then from 12
Yep.
to 12 to 11:59 p.m. makes up the p.m. side of your day. So what happens is in this system, all throughout the day, and as you see right here, you can select the day, but we're gonna select tomorrow. And I'll show you why here in a second. And we're gonna say patient 15. So patient
Okay.
15 is let's say heart challenges, and I'm just gonna I'm doing a little swipe on my phone. It'll catch up
Sure.
here and see. So what's going to happen? You see, it says heart challenge there, and then and then we're gonna do a midnight entry. And so here on the system, you can select the color. And let's say all of a sudden at 12 midnight, the patient had some heart trouble, but we're gonna make it orange. It wasn't anything detrimental. It's just we wanted to monitor. So I'm gonna pick the color that represents that. And then obviously each department and every client can do it their way. And then here, you don't have to change the 12 a.m. start time. But let's say the patient had this problem until, just as I was saying before, till 2:30 a.m. And what you can't see is how quickly I selected that time period, right? From 2:30
Sure.
a.m. And then I select AM up at the top, and it doesn't display here, but I pushed AM here, and then I hit set. Now, here's where the true magic comes in. Just this simple. Watch. As soon as this page goes away there, okay, so then I'm gonna hit save. Now, what the system now does, okay, it's gonna go back to today's day. It's coming up. And so what the system does, okay, that it defaults back to today's date, but we're
Oh,
doing tomorrow. Yes. So what happens is it made an entry right here. of what I put in this in display. And see, so what happens
Okay.
is that now the slight difference is because there's a transferring from my phone to the site, is that typically on my phone, it's there it is. It says there's a patient is in hard challenge. That's what it selects here. Now, what if I say that patient went back to sleep? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm put in sleep. Okay, that's me doing my little swipe on my phone. I always,
Yep.
for me, I always make slight sleep a light blue color because we want people to have a peaceful sleep. So now I put in I got to start at the time that I left off. So it's 2:31. Okay, I'm doing a
Yep.
little slight spin right there. And it's different on different phones. iPhones have a different look of this, but it
Yep.
works pretty much the same way. So
And
then I said,
versus an
okay,
Android, right? Yep.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And keep in mind, remember, we started at 12 a.m. So the patient could have been asleep at 10 a.m. the previous day. So, but
Yep.
we only
Yep.
start from 12 a.m. So I'm gonna say the patient wakes up at 6:30, they wake back up at 6:30, or they're awakened at 6:30 by the staff, and then you hit save here. And let's say I'm gonna say it was quality sleep. I'm gonna put this in here that this patient said that they had quality sleep. And see, so now I'm gonna say 2:30 to 6. Boom. Now, and then see, they're speeding up already. So now here's the thing. And again, here I was able to put those particular entries in. Now
Mm.
here's the thing behind each one of these. Behind each one of these entries, I can put additional information. So if there's
Okay.
something, so yep. So if there's more detail, then I can make, whether it's a casual event, it was an official event. So I'm gonna say I just selected official, and then I'm gonna hit next. I can make it private. I can make public. And let me tell you, why would you want to make a patient's information public if the patient is allowing it? So say the
Yeah.
patient is saying, "Hey, I need my family members or someone else to know what's going on." Then it can easily send out a link saying, "Hey, here's a notification. The patient's okay. We have to check on the patient, that kind of thing." But instead, I'm just gonna hit next here. And then here I can put in the location information. I can hit next again. And then I can say, and then I can put in description information. Patient is okay here. And then I just simply hit update. So now that's the back end information of each one of the entries. So I come here and then I want to show you what one looks like when it's completely done. So at this point,
Okay.
so this is actually a patient's entire full day. The patient slept right there. Let's say the patient gets up, the patient wakes up here. The patient has breakfast and he's in is taking their medicine in the morning.
Yep.
The patient starts watching TV or they're just in the bed, they're sitting up, but they seem to be fine. So you can imagine this all day long. But let me show you something that's pretty cool about this. So if you go here, if you do to the side panels here and you go to my weekend review, say that patient has been there for an entire week. That is
Yep.
that patient's entire event schedule
Oh,
for
day
every
by day then.
day by day. So let's say you have a mom who's pregnant, getting ready to have a baby. They're tracking their day wheel and could have been tracking their day wheel for months to see their health status. Now they're in the hospital and say the mom is having to stay a few extra days in the hospital. They're tracking the baby and the mom. They're tracking the staff. They're tracking people who are coming and going that's taking care of that particular patient. Everyone has a day wheel at that point
So,
inside
so
of the
let me
system.
ask you a question though. So I'm sure some of the people watching this thinking about this, right? So does this appear on your phone or does this appear on your computer though?
Yep, and you know what, Stephen, I was feeling you already. See, so yes, this is actually the online version of it. It's in the cloud, so everything I just did
Yep.
is loaded exactly the same here. And see, so this right here, just by itself, is the weekend review. And then I can go back and I can look over 2 weeks. I can even look over the previous entire last month. And now here's the thing about our system: you actually can go back in the past as far as you want to, and you can go in the future as far as you want to. So you can literally go back and say, "Hey, when I was 5 years old, I remember this occasion on this day and this time," and you can go back and actually log that key information in as well too. And see, so yes, but this is what that information would look like as a visual. This is what makes
So,
the day well unique.
so can you, if you capture it in your phone, can you share it with all the other nurses? Let's say we are in the hospital. How would the other people see the same information though?
See, so the ideal scenario, and obviously we're proposing, we haven't had a chance to put it in play.
Sure.
I'm very candid and honest about all of it. But we know that as an enterprise level tool, right, we can have this where it's always on a display on a screen. Or
Yep.
nowadays, they have the little portable systems that have the display on there. And we can also have it where the staff can have it on their phone, or that it reports out to the doctors or reports to anyone that has to take a look at that patient. I remember reading that on average that a person in the hospital has 9 different people that they see in the course of a day if they're in the hospital over
Yep.
any given time period. So all 9 of those people, or whoever's allowed to, would have access to this information in some form. It can be at the nurse's station, where they can see it on the screen and they're checking it all the time. And then and because here's the thing, I'm big on the benefit of the day wheel to the Internet of Things, right? So in other words,
Yeah.
if it has a screen on it, there's no reason why I couldn't have a day wheel. So they literally could have the heart monitor showing the day wheel throughout the night, or they can have any device that's connected to the patient sending information to a display to be able to see that patient's status at any time.
So somebody comes in, a doctor, a resident nurse, or something can literally see what has happened to that patient the last 24, 48, whatever number of hours or days prior, or the last 6 hours. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, okay, so let me kind of give you a little challenge here, right? So some people say, well, we've been doing this, all the legal
Absolutely.
people have been putting stuff in for a long time. So what makes the day wheel different from all the other tracking hour little
Absolutely.
things that people have been, claim they've been using all this while?
Yeah, well, hey, time is money. And so, the tools and things that and we I mean, we're forever monitoring our competitors. And what's unique is and what really gives us an advantage, right? I have both we're in the process of applying for the patent for it for the entire concept, and then we have the copyright and trademarks and everything else on it. So think about it. The day will capture time in its true format. No one else that we know of is allowed to do that or use that. And so we already have a proprietary view and tool already by itself. So it gives us a competitive advantage. The business of the day wheel definitely is about that. And then, at the end of the day, too, the way I think about it as a CEO is I constantly am thinking about like anything with any other CEO. It's all about market share. So our whole
Yeah.
goal is to try to find our continuous niches and then try to expand from there. We have some other software, some other tools that go in conjunction with this, but the day wheel is by far our most universal enterprise solution. So it's not, it there's no stop competition, but I don't mind competing. And so we our whole goal is to try to get our little share of what we can do in the market and just keep expanding from there.
Okay, so is this like how easy is it to use this product? I mean, is it like a download? I'm sure it's a download on your app. Is it an app or is
Absolutely.
it an application on your computer?
Yeah, no, you can download it right now in the Apple Store with no problem whatsoever under my
Oh
day
wow.
wheel. Yes, sir. Even though it says day wheel here, it's actually under my day wheel. So if you go in the Apple Store right now, my day wheel, and it'll literally come up, you'll see the day wheel and my name, Michael Fleming. And you also can click on that link and it'll show you some of the other apps and things that we have too. But in Google though, because there's so many variations of phones on the Android that some Android phones will not pick it up, but we have a responsive website, which is what you're seeing online right now. And the responsive website, and then of course that's the app right there. That's actually from my phone there. But the responsive website on Android, if you cannot, it's under my day wheel in the Play Store. But if you can't download it because of your version of your phone, and then go to mydaywheel.com and you'll see it. It'll be just responsive. It actually will look more like this than it here. It's on my PC, but it actually will look more like this on your Android device.
Okay. So if people really want to get to play around with this and see how it works, do you have like a free version or something they can
Yes,
use
sir.
in the
Yeah,
interim? How does that work though?
yep. And right now it's under a freemium format because to the public, we're and I don't mind sharing this at all. We hadn't put a major marketing campaign around this. We've been building some other apps and tools. So now we're at the maturity now where this is now about introducing this to the public and to corporations and enterprises both in the States and around the world. But yes, you can. But the freemium version is online. We're forever making changes and edits to it, so we apologize in advance to that. But it definitely works. The only thing that right now that we having a challenge with when there was a version that was changed, we have a virtual private server, and right now the scheduler is about the only thing that having some inconsistency. But all the other sections work right on spot, just like I just showed you with the day wheel as well. And
All
so,
right.
but yes,
So great. So Michael, people, the examples you gave were great, right? So patients, contractors, I'm in manufacturing. I'm trying to spend my time. But how do you help an individual though? So what
yes.
would an individual do to get something out of your day rule?
Yeah, so now the individual format, we actually have another app which we'll do on another show, but we're big on providing life coaching services through technology.
Oh,
So the day wheel is tied to a life coaching system where we map out your entire life in less than an hour. It's a very unique set of tools, and so it's a pretty cool setup. But at the end of the day, I genuinely, I love business and I love people. So it's one great combination, right? So at the end of the day, I'm driven by the idea of how do we make people's lives better? How do we make businesses more responsible to each other? How do we improve efficiency? So the Day-Wheel is absolutely dedicated to that. And we're looking to add some AI tools to help people evaluate those things, to look at patterns inside of what they do. And then we're looking always to make the tool easier to use. So it's part of it. It's part of what's becoming a growing catalog of the goal of trying to, how do we make people's lives better? At the end of the day, I'm driven by that, and I love everything about business. I'm genuinely a nerd. And so, but yes, the Day-Wheel is 100% dedicated to improving people's lives.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that. If you want to take care of your 86,400 seconds in a day and want to know how to map out what you do in the day, yesterday, last week, or maybe going in the future, and at some point as an individual, you want to kind of map out your hour in less than a day, then Michael, so exactly how are they going to get to you now? Where would they go?
Yeah, so yeah, they can contact me directly. I share my number all the time. People are like, you share your number? I do. And my number is 678-508-6283. Or you'll see some of the information on the app and some different places. So just reach out to me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Michael Fleming, again, at Compass Aim Solutions is the tech company that I have. Compass Aim Global is my consulting company, but right now we're doing primarily everything under Compass Aim Solutions. So yes,
so ladies and gentlemen, we'll put that information down in the post. Hopefully you've got an idea. If you're interested in managing your time and getting more effective, then the Day-Wheel is for you. Michael, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
An honor, Stephen. Pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Thank you.